It's time for Marshalltown High School Volleyball on KDAO TV 45. Coming up tonight is a video replay of a volleyball match that was played on Tuesday at the MHS Roundhouse involving the Marshalltown Bobcat girls and the Newton Cardinals. Chuck Carpenter and Bob Gaskell will have tonight's play-by-play. This match is being sponsored by Marshalltown Medical and Surgical Center. And now, Bobcat girls volleyball versus Newton on KDAO TV. And a very pleasant good evening to you. You're watching Marshalltown High School Volleyball on KDAO TV 45. The regular season is almost ready to conclude. And as a matter of fact, we have the last match of the regular season for the Marshalltown Bobcat girls at home here at the Roundhouse. The opponent on seniors night on the Newton Cardinals as the Bobcat girls try to wrap up second place in the conference. Fort Dodge is undefeated in the conference. The Bobcats are setting at 3-1. They take on a solid Newton team. Of course, the Bobcats are rated 10th in the state. And Newton is not rated, but they are what is called a leading contender, and they have some very good players, and they're 17-10, and both teams play good competition. The Bobcats would like to think if they play well, they can win this match in 3 games, but one never knows. That's why they play the game. And as the girls do their warm-ups here, I'm very pleased to be joined on the play-by-play by Bob Gaskell. And Coach Gaskell, it's probably a foolish statement to say, but you know, with the tournaments getting ready to unfold for the kids next Wednesday, is it really important that the kids not only win tonight, but also close things out in good fashion, because you kind of want to be playing some good volleyball before the tournaments? Is that important, or is that something that's overblown by the media? You have to play well before the tournaments.
Well, sometimes that can be a little bit taken out of context. This is senior night, and sometimes you never know how emotions are going to take over with the girls, especially in this first game. You hope that they can balance everything out, but if we get past this first game and win, I think they'll be well under control. Newton is one of those teams that they're always a menace for Marshalltown. They have quite a few girls coming back. I think they were hoping to have a good year, and with 17 wins, they're having a good year. So you can't take them lightly. That's why they got to play the game.
But, Coach, if you're the 10th rated team in the state, you'd like to think if you play well, you can eliminate this team in 3 games, and I'm sure Newton is the type of team they would kind of like to hang around and force this thing into 4 and 5 games. And I'm not saying the Bobcats don't want to have that happen, but I'm sure Newton would kind of like to hang around, would they not?
Well, definitely. Newton would like to set the tone just like we would like to set the tone for the next part of the season, and that's getting ready for districts and going on to state. So,
well, both teams played extremely well in the Johnston tournament, which was held this past Saturday. The Bobcat girls, as we wait for the starting lineups here, the Bobcat girls defeated Waukee and North and Oskaloosa and Boone. Then they did lose to Conference Foe Valley. And Newton, they had a very nice tournament in Johnston. They defeated Dowling, they defeated Boone, they defeated Jefferson, and they defeated Roland Story as well. So both teams coming off the Johnston Invitational. Some very good competition there. And as I mentioned, this is actually the last match of the regular season for both teams, and then both teams will begin tournaments next week, as Newton will take on Des Moines Hoover next Monday in what is called a regional quarterfinal, and the Bobcats actually will have a bye, and they will not be playing until Wednesday, October the 27th in Marshalltown. They'll play either Des Moines East or Southeast Polk. And what we're going to do now, we're going to they're going to introduce everybody, but we'll go ahead with our starting lineups here. And as far as the Newton girls are concerned, as Coach Gaskell mentioned, they have a fine team. They're a very solid team. They're 17-10. They've got some good hitters. Number 1 is Chelsea Munoz, and they actually had four good starters back from last year. And Megan Carmen, number 2, she's a senior, and probably their best hitter, and I think she'll probably come from the outside most of the time tonight, and that'll be Tammy Brain, and she's number 3. She's a very good hitter. And Katie Schroyer is number 8 for Newton, and another fine hitter is Michelle Elliott. She is a junior, and then Kelly Weston for Newton. They're 17-10, pretty respectable. They play decent competition as far as the Saturday tournaments are concerned. And as far as the Marshalltown Bobcats are concerned, as we mentioned, a fine team this year under Coach Westendorf. They're rated 10th in the state. They competed very well. They've competed very well in their Saturday tournaments, and very good tournament team. Their only losses this year have actually come to teams that have been rated ahead of them. Bobcats, as I mentioned, have a record of 22-10. And as I introduce all the girls on there, we'll get to Marshalltown's starting lineup here, and that will be a fine all-around junior in Tasha Bermudez. Tasha is 4th on the team in kills, and she's 2nd on the team in blocks, and she's number 4. And Claire Hankin is 3rd on the team in kills. Claire is a senior, number 5, and Angie Brown, who's a very fine server. Angie is a senior, she's number 6, and Bridget Ruff is a very fine setter for the Bobcats, and she wears number 7. And then we have Jenna Butler. Jenna Butler is number 13, and she's a good blocker and a good hitter. And number 11 is senior Taryn Johnston, and Taryn leads the team in kills. And Coach Gaskell, the Bobcats have 4 girls with 142 kills or more. Well, actually, Bermuda has 131, Hankin has 142, and Taryn Johnson has 235 kills. Loney has 162 kills. So that's very good balance, is it not, Coach?
Yes, you like to be able to have that thing spread out the way the Marshalltown Bobcats have it. They've got 4 hitters that another team has to concentrate on. It's not like having one that's just completely dominating, so it's a good distribution.
Okay, we're almost ready to go between Marshalltown and Newton. I'm Chuck Carpenter with Bob Gaskill, and this is the last home match of the year. This is the last regular season match of the year. It's Newton and Marshalltown, and we will have the play-by-play of our match coming up on KDAO TV 45. Version of the national anthem, and we are almost ready to get it on with Marshalltown High School volleyball as we take a little break in our football schedule and bring you volleyball. And speaking of football, of course, we'll have the Bobcat West Des Moines Valley game on the air Saturday morning at 10 o'clock and Sunday night at 7 o'clock and Monday night at 8 o'clock. And, oh, by the way, we'll also have the Marshalltown Bobcat volleyball match on the airwaves. Of course, as I mentioned to you, their tournament match is next Wednesday against either Des Moines East or Southeast Polk, as you take a look at Coach Westendorf giving some last-minute instructions to the kids. And that match between Marshalltown and either East or Polk will be played on Wednesday, October the 27th at 7 p.m., and we'll be here to bring you the play-by-play of that and play it back next Thursday on the 28th and next Friday on the 29th, both nights at 7 o'clock. So we're almost getting ready to get it on here with Bobcat Volleyball, and we've got a pretty nice crowd on hand here. And Coach Gaskell, sometimes is it always interesting to see how a team plays at home, especially on seniors night, where you have the fans, and you have the parents, you have the boyfriends, and you have everybody. I always used to think it was an advantage playing at home, and I'm sure it is. Sometimes it can be a little bit of a distraction, can it?
It can be a little bit of a distraction, but I think these girls have been pretty well focused. Both teams are starting 5 seniors. They've been waiting for this game for quite some time. It's the end of the season, and they want to end the season in a good tone. So with that many seniors on the floor, they're ready to go out there and get after it right away.
Again, it's Tasha Bermudez and Claire Hankett and Angie Brown and Bridget Ruff and Taryn Johnston and Jenna Butler. And for Newton, it's Chelsea Munez, Megan Carmen, Tammy Brain, Katie Schroyer, Michelle Elliott, and Kelly Weston. We can look forward to number 3, Brain, and number 9, Elliott. I believe those are the hitters for the Bobcats as Bridget Ruff serves the ball away, and it's blocked at the net. The Bobcats get it over with Johnston. That was Brain, by the way, that hit that ball over for Newton. And Newton pops it over, and that's Bridget Ruff and Butler with the set, and it'll be out of bounds. That kind of got me. I'm not used to seeing Jenna serve the ball or set the ball. Usually, I believe, Bridget does that as well as Lindsay Murphy.
Yep, when that first ball goes to the setter, sometimes that right side hitter has to step in, and that's her job, is to be the alternate setter in this situation when your setter's coming from the back row.
That's Brain, and actually the Bobcats, I thought, put up a pretty good block at the net with Tasha Bermudez and Butler, but I guess Brain just must have hit it hard and it just must have found the opening. She's a pretty good player out there.
Yeah, she is. That ball just went off on the inside of the hands and rolled right alongside the net, and it was tough for Taryn to pick it up.
Serving the ball is Katie Schroyer. Bobcats having a few problems here with service reception, and then, of course, that affects the passing a little bit. And there's a nice set, but that was a very good block by Johnston and by Tasha Bermudez.
That nice double block on the middle hitter there.
Tasha, as we mentioned, a very, very good all-around player. She blocks well, and she puts the ball down hard. Here's Brianna Hinman, and Brianna leads the team in aces, coach, with 57.
Yeah, she's a great server. They got a lot of girls. All the girls that are doing majority of the serving on this team are serving over 900, so they're serving very well.
Into the net, number 9, that was Michelle Elliott. Looks like they send Brain from the outside, and Elliott attacks from the middle.
She's coming from the back row. She was leaping from behind the 10-foot line that time, and that's why she came up a little bit short. She ran out of reach.
Okay, Hinman with another ace, and we'll give her ace number 58 on the year. Brianna is a senior, and as Coach Gaskell mentioned, an excellent server for the Bobcats, and Marshalltown jumps out ahead now 3-2.
Another back row attack attempt.
And that's Elliott again into the net. Brain is playing in front now, and the referees.
Must be something on the floor. He's kicking off to the side. Wasn't on the court, so I'm not sure. I think it was just trying to break the serve.
4-2. Hinman comes in the Bobcat rotation and serves it away, and Elliott is going to try to hit it again and into the net. So that's 3 times into the net.
3 back row attacks and 3 times into the net. I think it's time to shake it up a little bit.
And remember how it goes, rally scoring, everything scores a point. So mistakes score points, and Newton is finding that out. And that's Brain, but they knock it back at her, and she's going to try it again. And it's dug up nicely in the back row by the Bobcats. And it all got started actually because Angie Brown made a nice dig in the back row. So 6-2 is the score. So Newton went to Brain, and she put a couple down. Then they went to Elliott, and she put 3 in the net. And the next thing you know, the Bobcats are ahead 6-2. And, the Bobcats being 10th in the state, we always say this when we play somebody rated ahead of us. We can say this about the Bobcats. If you make mistakes, the Bobcats will probably make you pay for it.
That's right. They're putting the pressure on all the time, so that's what you want to do. Coach from Newton just want to take a timeout to regroup the girls and get them ready for this next service.
Coach, are we seeing anything different in the Bobcat rotation from the standpoint? Maybe it's just the way it works out sometimes, but Jenna Butler is actually setting the ball a couple of times. I'm not used to seeing that, Usually Bridget sets it or Lindsay Murphy sets it for the Bobcats.
Well, if you're the opposing team, one of the things you'd like to be able to do is to take the number 1 setter out of the play, and the way to do that is to make, in this case, Bridget handle the ball so she cannot set the ball. That forces Jenna to be able to set. So whether that's their plan or what, but Newton so far has not done a real good job of passing the ball, so they can't really run an offense.
Okay, knocked over by Tasha Bermudez, and there's Brain, who's their most consistent hitter, and dug up nicely in the back row by Angie Brown. And that'll be knocked over by the Bobcats. And there's Brain again, and this time they found the opening. So they've kind of went away from that middle attack as Elliott was hitting into the net, and Brain scoring a few points for them. So it's 6-3, and good job by Brianna Hinman for coming in and getting the Bobcats some points, and she's going to be back there to receive serve now, along with Angie Brown. And there is a dink over by Tasha Bermudez, and we see Bridget Ruff setting the ball, and Butler with a very nice block.
Again, Bridget had to take that first one, so Jenna had to step in and set the ball.
Hankin with her first attempt. I think it was her first attempt. That was in, and that was good. The Bobcats kind of stood around a little bit in the back row, and Newton found the opening. So they're a scrappy team.
If I remember last year from Tammy, she always liked to go down the line, and she's been doing that quite a bit so far tonight. She's hit down the line, so we may have to swing our defense around and block her that way.
Ruff is going to set up Claire Hankin, and Claire in the back row. Elliott gets to it in the back row. Elliott knocks it over, and that's Ruff, and that's Claire. Newton digging nicely in the back, and Brain with a second chance, and it's good. As the Bobcats touched it, Brain would not be denied. She's pretty salty over there on that side attack.
She got up quick for that second one, and we had a middle blocker up, but we didn't have our right side. Jenna did not get up and block for that second hit, so it made it easier to go down the line.
Okay, number 4, that's Tasha Bermudez. Yes. Tasha is a junior, and as we mentioned, she's 4th on the team in kills, 2nd in blocks. She's a very fine all-around player. And into the game comes Laura Loney. That'll give the Bobcats some good stuff at the net, and also a very good hitter. Laura is 2nd on the team in kills, and 1st on the team in blocks.
Oh, nice let serve. First one of those I think I've seen this year for the Bobcats.
One of the new rule changes from last year, Tasha Bermudez gets an ace. The Bobcats, if we look at the stats, are also a very good serving team, I think. And there's Brain. Not exactly the best set in the world. I don't think that was her fault. The set almost went out of bounds.
That's right. Got a little bit too deep for her. She couldn't reach it.
Bobcats trying to wrap up 2nd place in the conference, then have a few days off before they begin tournament play, and that time it goes out of bounds. So the Bobcats give up a point. Most of Newton's points tonight have come on the hitting of Tammy Brain, and she's serving, so maybe the Bobcats don't have to worry about her for a while. And let's see, Bridget Ruff is going to set up Loney. They dig it, and there's Elliott, and that's a nice dig by Bermudez in the back row. Butler with a free ball. Newton gets to it, and a jump set. And number 2, Carmen took on Butler, and the little Carmen girl won the match up there.
Yeah, the pass was just a little bit over the net, so Carmen went up to hit the ball, and Jenna just couldn't react quick enough to block. She got up there, but by then it was too late.
Okay, that was Hinman, and that's Laura Loney. Yes.
Nice cross-court hit by Laura.
She has 163 kills on the team, and that's 2nd. Her blocks also lead the team. And we're going to have Allison Busby, I believe, come in.
She'll play right side now for Jenna.
And Lindsay Murphy will go serve.
And set.
And Lindsay's a very good setter. And that is a girl, Megan Carmen, that I haven't talked too much about, but she is one of these seniors. They had 4 back from this year. Brain, Brain, Carmen, Munez, and Weston. And Elliott is just a junior, so she'll be back next year. Loney, since she's come in, she's 2 for 2, and a good set by Claire Hankin.
Setter for Newton has now gone to the back row, so they'll have 3 potential hitters in the front row, so the Bobcats will have to make sure they realize that and be ready for the set all the way across.
And obviously I was wrong. I'm very sorry. That was Lindsay, of course, with the set, not Claire. Elliott, yes. Maybe she should not hit the ball from the back row. She's a little better when she's up at the net.
Yep. Another one seems to be going right down the line. They're not hitting a lot cross court, so hopefully defensively wise we'll make the adjustment.
11-9 now. 11-9 the Bobcats clinging to a 2-point lead over a scrappy Newton team on KDAO TV. Lindsay Murphy with the set, and Taryn Johnson, they do a good job blocking. However, Taryn, with a second effort, put it over.
Yeah, Taryn didn't have a lot of places to go with that particular one. It was awful tight.
In comes Angie Brown. Angie, 44 aces, second on the team. She'll replace Laura Loney. Laura did a fine job with 2 kills, and Newton close to a violation there, and a good dig in the back row by Angie Brown, and that'll be pushed over by Busby and Johnston again. Bobcats can hurt you in a lot of ways, and the Bobcats did some very good things leading up to Johnston's point.
I think for the second year in a row, Angie's leading the team in serving. She's got a .962 percentage this year, so that's a great service percentage.
Okay, short set, nice play. Short set, that was Kelly Weston, one of 4 seniors, one of 4 good starters back from Newton. This is probably their best team they've had in volleyball for quite some time at Newton High School. 13-10, so they're hanging around, and that's Johnston, dug by Newton, and then Brain hits it. The Bobcats dig it. Johnston, a good save by Newton.
Nice save by Munoz.
Murphy, Johnston, no.
Just a little bit out of bounds.
Bobcats feeling a little pressure here. 13-11. This is when you really got to play together as a team, isn't it, Coach?
It's time to, just really concentrate on the basics here. Newton has done a very good job. They're picking up a lot of balls that would normally hit the floor, so.
Yeah, blocking is really their strength tonight against the Bobcats. In comes Butler, in comes Ruff, out goes Busby, and out goes Lindsay Murphy.
Sometimes a scrappy team defensively can really get into the heads of your team, so Bobcats keep it together, they'll work their way through it.
Well, and as long as you brought that up, and that's a good block by the Bobcats, as that was Weston. And we're going to have Johnston. They blocked it out of bounds. Coach, it was a good thing you brought that up, because the Bobcats this year, they took a game off Grundy Center. We all know how good Grundy Center is. And one of the reasons they did that, according to both coaches, was that the Bobcats just blocked and dug so effectively, and Grundy Center was not used to that. It really threw them off, and that's how they won the first game.
Yep. Scrappy defense can do an awful lot for a team.
15-12. Newton comes back. This is Schroyer who's going to serve the ball, and that's Claire Hankin, and that's a hit over by number 4, Bermudez.
Well, there's that back row attack that she tried again. This one she got over.
Good block by the Bobcats. Butler and Bermudez was right there. Now they push it into the back row, and a nice save by Angie Brown. There's Johnston again. They're doing a good job of picking up Johnston's hits. Oh, there's Elliott. And Newton screams for a violation.
I think he wanted a carry on Jenna, but it looked pretty clean. Nice hit.
And the Newton coach is incensed, as they wanted the violation called on Butler. Should it have been a violation, Coach, if you're objective?
It was close. It could have gone either way.
That might have been the hardest hit by Taryn Johnson tonight. They've done a pretty good job of digging up her hits, but that time she really slammed it down, and she's going to set down for a little bit. And Brianna Hinman, who really served well for the Bobcats and gave them that early lead they haven't relinquished yet, takes over, and it'll go out of bounds. Now it's 17-12. Bobcats can't get any more than a 5-point lead, but they are ahead 17-12. Hinman's been terrific tonight in the first game. She loads it up, and there is a little dink over by Brain. And there's Claire Hankins, slams it into the back row. They dig it. There is almost a free ball, and that was just not a very good set by Newton, even though Newton wanted the Bobcats called for over the net.
There's good patience by Tasha on that one to wait for the ball just to break the plane of the net, and then she went ahead and hit it down for a block. 18-12
is our score. This is the biggest lead of the night for the Bobcats, as Newton has kind of been a little scrappy, but the Bobcats with a little too much diversity for them. Plus, I must say that that serving tonight has been pretty good for the Bobcats. And that's really helped them out a little bit here tonight.
The Newton coaches are still riding the officials a little bit on that call of Jenna's. The assistant coach is doing a little bit of complaining about, I don't know where it is, if it's where Brianna is standing when she serves the ball or what.
Is she standing in the wrong place or something?
Well, he pointed like she was lining up down the sideline, and she's fine. It doesn't matter where you start. It's a matter of where your feet are when the ball, when you make contact with the ball, and she's completely inside of. That's a great serve.
She's been really, really good tonight. She's been very consistent in game number 1. She's really, really done a fine job. And as we mentioned, Brianna does lead the team, and she's got 2 aces tonight, so she's up to 59, and now it's 19-12.
Now that could have easily been called there as well, and that's out of bounds.
That's almost as good enough as an ace serve, Coach.
That's right.
Newton now in trouble, 20-12, thanks to excellent serving by Brianna Hinman. And Brianna loads it up again.
She's serving the ball really deep, and she's not. The players for Newton aren't getting any help as far as whether the ball is good or not.
Yeah, Coach, I'm sure that's tough for them when you have to start your offense in the back row.
Yeah, back on the end line.
Because of Hinman's excellent servings, now they're able to start it normally. But the Bobcats are also doing a good job of blocking. Even though it's a point for Newton, the Bobcats are blocking the ball.
That's right. They block the ball, keep on getting into the heads of the hitters that somebody's going to be up there against you, and forces the hitters to alter their hits.
I wonder if that also is a little bit opposing, too, when they look across there, especially when Loney's in there and they see all those big girls. I assume that can be a little intimidating, too.
Yeah, it does. It can get into your head.
Marshalltown playing much better as we go along here. And they're up to a 22-13 lead, and this is Loney coming in. Jenna came in and had Laura came in and had 2 really nice hits for the Bobcats.
The difference in the game so far is the Bobcats serving, and Newton's not able to really pass the ball very well to get into an offense.
Plus, Newton has made quite a few mistakes. That was a nice spike by Newton, but Newton has made quite a few mistakes. I remember, well, actually, early in the match, what was it? Wasn't it 3 hits in a row into the net by Michelle Elliott, and that gave the Bobcats their points.
Now Tammy Brain has gone back to the back row to serve, and they've got their other outside hitter. That seems to be Newton's main threat, is coming from the outside, so there's really not much in the middle to really worry about. Bobcats can start shifting their defense, powering a little bit more to the strong side of Newton.
Well, the Bobcats don't want to mess around too much here. They've got a nice lead of 22-15, but those things can evaporate, and they're going to set up an outside hit, and that was a terrific dig by Bermudez in the back row. That was some good stuff, and that's tipped over by Claire Hankin, and there's Elliott. She dinks it over, and the Bobcats, I guess, get called for a violation. I guess Bridget got called for a violation out there.
Got called for a carry. That last hit from Newton was a slide, and they were practicing that a lot during their warm-up, so that must be something when their setter's in the front row where she is right now. They like to run that slide to swing the defense out.
Coach, that was a very good play, and I'll give Bridget Ruff a lot of credit for that. She saved that ball, and she actually was out of bounds on her knees when Jenna just poked it over and found the opening, 23-16.
Being 6'3" with the long arm reach, sometimes you can get over the net without even having to jump.
Yes, indeed. Now here's Lindsay Murphy. The Bobcats 2 points away from winning game number 1. Oh, there's Elliott. Yes.
Yep.
They're a lot better from the side.
Yeah, their main threat is going to be from the outside, it looks like. They just switch between Elliott and what is her name? Elliott and Brain are the 2 girls that they're just rotating to the outside.
And then sometimes Munoz comes over, too.
And Munoz right now should be the setter from the back row.
She is, and sometimes she'll come over and hit the ball down. Okay, and this is Claire Hankin, and Claire into the action too, so the Bobcats starting to get their offense untracked, starting to spread it around a little bit, and it's 24-18, so Claire is going to go back there and try to serve game point for the Bobcats. And Claire locks and loads, and that's Elliott, and oh, that was a tough one. That was out of bounds, and I think that was a good call by the official.
That girl's coming from the back row, and she was clear in front of the 10-foot line. There's not really much she could do, so.
Coach, Newton was rather scrappy. They blocked pretty well, but I think the Bobcats had a little more balance, and you just can't beat that serving by the Bobcats, Coach, because not only did it make them get some ace serves, but as you mentioned, a lot of times they had to start their offense from the back row, so that serving was good, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was. And their assistant coach is still complaining, and my guess is he's taking it that where Brienne is lining up, she's lining up out of bounds, but she makes contact inbounds, so he's just trying to constantly get into the official's head, hoping that they may make that call one time, and hopefully they don't, because it's not the correct call.
The Bobcats win game number 1 by a score of 25-18. And as long as you brought that up, Coach, I think we'll just keep it right here. If what he's saying is true, is that a violation?
It's not a violation. You can stand anywhere you want to when you're getting ready to serve the ball. It's where you are when you make contact. Just like you can't stand on the line when you make contact, you have to be in between those little end tick marks that are on each side of the court, and she is well within that.
So what's his complaint then?
He's just trying to get the assistant coach to think that because she's lining up out of bounds, she may be contacting it out of bounds, and see, that's what she's doing right there. He's trying to demonstrate, and as long as she makes contact inside, it doesn't matter. So his complaint isn't valid whatsoever. She can line up anywhere she wants to start with.
I've seen coaches complain about things like screening and things like that, but I've never seen anybody complain about that. So you see something new every time you come to see a volleyball match, I guess.
Well, as long as he's been coaching, he should know better than that. That's why I'm not sure what he's doing. I don't see the head coach complaining, and she knows the rules, so I think she's all right.
Newton did make quite a few mistakes out there. They hit quite a few balls into the net, especially early. Elliott hit 3 in a row into the net, and that hurt Newton's cause. And then, as we mentioned, the Bobcats did a very nice job playing defense. They also did a very, very nice job as far as their serving is concerned. And as always, they got quite a few girls involved in the offense. I don't think anybody really jumps out at us. Loney had, I think, 2 or 3 kills, and Taryn Johnston had a couple. So nobody really with an outstanding game, Coach, but just a nice solid effort by the Bobcats, leading to a 25-18 win.
That's exactly right. They're spreading the ball around very well so far. They're doing a good job, and everybody's kind of getting into it. I still think the Bobcats serving has been the main difference in this game so far, and Newton's inability to really pass the ball efficiently.
Okay, well, we're almost ready to go with game number 2. And as you mentioned, the Bobcats, if they win this, they will wrap up second place in the conference behind Fort Dodge. Of course, the only loss the Bobcats had was to Fort Dodge on the road.
And as always, I'm sure that's one that you would like to have played in Marshalltown instead of going up to Fort Dodge. Sometimes you don't get any breaks when you go up there.
The Bobcats won game number 1, 25-18. And we're going to start this game off, and we're going to kick things off with Johnston and a fine kill.
That was a nice cross-court hit that Newton just simply wasn't ready for.
Here comes Brianna Hinman. Bobcats started off just a little bit slow in game number 1, and it was actually Elliott that gave the Bobcats the lead when she hit 3 in a row into the net. The Bobcats looking to be a little more aggressive here, I think, and they're having a tough time handling Marshalltown serves, and that will be Bermuda's yes. Didn't know if Bermuda's or Hankin was going to hit it, and I guess maybe that's the impression they wanted to give.
That was a good crank by Tasha. She did a nice job of hitting the ball cross court that time.
Tasha is one of the rare juniors out there, so she should be a very fine player next year. Maybe somebody the Bobcats can build their team around next year. Very impressed with Angie Brown in the back row. Angie's done a fine job. That time a little bit too much height. And that was tough for Ruff because she hit it into a Weston block and also, I believe, into a Schroyer block. And both those girls are about 5'10". The Bobcats lead 2-1 on KDAO TV. And out of bounds. We've had some really good back row play from Brown and Hinman back there, actually.
Angie's a great back row player. The one difference that from the first time they were on TV was that Angie's now starting the game and back there, and it seems to pick up their defensive play a little bit.
Laura Loney, who had a fine game 1, I think she had 3 kills, comes in, and she'll play Butler with a nice block. And Newton is going to set up Brain. Butler again. Then they give Butler free ball. Yes. And Butler won that battle that time over Tammy Brain. They might run into each other in basketball. I forgot if Brain's a basketball player or not.
I believe she is.
She certainly is athletic, and it's 4-1 Bobcats. And serving the ball is Tasha Bermudez. Newton with a few problems handling Marshalltown's serves.
And the passes are all over the place, so it's really tough for the setter to get any kind of groove going.
Johnston leads the team in kills, followed by Loney, followed by Hankin, followed by Bermudez. And if you can get Butler going, that's just double tough. 5-1 on KDAO TV. And they dink it over that time and found the opening. I don't know if that was a set play or not, but Weston just kind of dinked it over and found the opening.
She hit it back to the middle, and that's always a tough one to figure out who's really going to cover that one. Ball right about on the 10-foot line and in the middle of the court.
Okay, Newton's going to serve the ball over. We've had good back row play, and that's Hankin, and that's a nice dig by Bermudez. Pushed over by Loney into the back row. Oh, there's Brain. Good block by Loney and Butler. Brain again. She almost fell into the referee stand. Bermudez in the back row. Set by Ruff. Yes, that was a good volley by both teams, and the Bobcats just kept attacking and eventually found the opening.
Laura did a nice job of hitting it off the hands, and the ball just went out of bounds. Not a chance for anybody to play the ball.
In comes Busby. In comes Murphy. And here comes Murphy to serve. Out goes Butler. Out goes Bridget Ruff. There is another serve that hit the net and is playable. 6-2, the Bobcats lead. And little miscommunication there on the set. And that's the way that goes. 6-3 is our score on KDAO TV.
They switch outside hitters now. We'll see if they go. That's a nice outside hit by
Busby.
Allison.
And it got through the blocks. That's Michelle Elliott. So they stopped having Elliott attack from the back row and put her on the side. And I just don't think that Newton has ever even attempted anything from the middle. All their points have come from the side. And Brain is going to serve the ball, and that's a rare point Marshalltown gives up on a serve. Usually our service reception has been very good, and Coach, maybe that's why the Bobcats have so many girls that can kill the ball, because our service reception and our passing is pretty good when we play well.
It makes the setter's job a lot easier if she's not having to run all over the court to try to retrieve a ball.
Newton right back in this game, folks, 6-5. There's Loney. And there is Munoz. Yes, that was one of the nicest hits, and that wasn't even by one of their stars. That was by Megan Carmen.
That's the second time she's run that slide, so Marshalltown has to realize that when the setter's up there in that position, you have to be ready for a back set.
6-6, that's our score on KDAO TV. Bobcats getting a test and another good block, and that Carmen girl is actually not too bad of a player, her and Elliott. And Newton does have some height, and for the first time tonight, Newton takes a lead. The Bobcats actually look pretty good to start this game off, and then I'm not sure what happened, and all of a sudden it's 7-6. I know one thing that's happened is that we've had problems receiving serve, Coach.
Yeah. That's the difference to this point. Whether Newton is doing just a little bit better serving the ball, kind of distributing it, hitting more of the lines, and then forcing us to pass the ball back to the middle. But they're putting a little more pressure on the Bobcats right now to pass the ball.
And Coach Westendorf calls a timeout. Coach Westendorf said her team is a very emotional team, and sometimes when they get pushed a little bit or the other team comes back at them, their ability to play together as a team gets tested. So it's very easy to play together as a team, and mainly to communicate when you're winning. When you're down, that's when it's extra important.
That's right. Time to get them settled down, get them regrouped. Tell them to all play their alleys right now and just really make sure that they pass that ball is coming right in their midsection when they go to pass it.
I see the Newton assistant coach, he's not complaining anymore. Maybe that's because he leads, I don't know.
Well, I think I saw the head coach, Kim, kind of give a little demonstration of what's legal, and I think after that I don't think he's complained anymore. You can throw the ball up clear from the side as long as you hit it. That's another good serve by Newton.
Yeah, that's Brain, too, doing the job. And I thought we had the opening there, but Newton closed it up in a hurry. And Bermudez again was a nice serve. And it's going to be bumped over by Busby, I do believe. And, There is another hit by number 9. That's Elliott. The Bobcats get to it. Claire Hankin hits it into the back row. This is a good volley. That's Elliott, and that is down. So Newton running their offense very well. They're finding the openings, and Coach Gaskill, I thought that when Tammy Brain went back to serve, the Bobcats would be in good shape. And this happened in the first game, too. When she goes back to serve, some other girls kind of step it up a little bit.
Yeah, they seem to be pretty much a two-person team right now for the most part. Brain and number 9,
Elliott.
Those two girls are just kind of going back and forth. When one's in the front row, they're always keeping the ball to it, and they mix it up every now and then and run a slide.
And then every once in a while, that number 2, Carmen, comes over and hits the ball down.
Yep.
And if you just saw that, the Bobcats made a mistake there, so now it's 10-6. And Newton, with their biggest lead here so far, Brain sends another one over, and here's Loney from the side, and Elliott got to it, and now Elliott's going to hit it over, and it goes out of bounds off our back row, and just for some reason, well, one of the things, Coach, we're not really blocking the things.
No, right now she's going over the top of us. They're speeding up their offense a little bit, and we're only getting one blocker up there at times, and there you go. That's what you needed, for them to hit the ball out.
So Elliott did a fine job, and Newton did a fine job, led by Elliott, as I mentioned, and Brain did a fine job serving. So as Coach Gaskill mentioned, kind of a two-person show with Carmen every once in a while putting one down. So it's 11-7 on KDAO, and that's Munoz with us, and there's that number 2 again, and they just can't get to it. Is that what they call that slide play,
That's
Coach?
the slide, and you could see her setting that one up as soon as the ball came. They had that one. They had that one planned. She was starting to move as soon as the ball was being passed.
So if that's the third time, Coach, we should start being able to adjust to that, should we not?
You just have to realize that when Munoz is up there in the front row in that right side position, that it's a possibility.
Johnston started off this game with a fine hit, and then we didn't hear too much from her. Then Taryn put one down, so the Bobcats are down here 12-8.
Use Angie right now and get a few serves, get this thing tied back up, and then you can surge ahead.
Munoz, Elliott, yes. Our back row was so good, and now we're just having some problems. And of course, again, maybe it's not all the back row's fault because we're not putting up any blocks at the net.
Well, we're not blocking line, and if you're going to give line, then you've got to be able to pass back there. And right now, with Newton hitting the line all the time, I think I'd be more interested in blocking it if you've got good blockers, and we do.
Bobcats almost made a mistake there, and what's going to happen here? Newton, no.
Free ball out of bounds.
Yeah, that was a good effort by Newton. However, the Bobcats almost made a mistake there, and they were very lucky they got the point on that. When they had the ball on offense, there's a little miscommunication there, and they almost messed it up, but they got a point out of it. Okay, here's Bridget Ruff. Bridget, number 7. Bridget will serve. The Bobcats are down 13-9. Newton slipped, fell down, but they get the ball over. That was Brain who knocked it over, and that was Taryn. So Johnston coming in, and she's trying to lead the Bobcats back.
And that all started with Angie's pass. It was a good pass and able to get the set up. Taryn took care of it.
Bobcats have struggled receiving serve here in this game. And as Coach Gaskill mentioned, that affects their serving then. And there's Taryn.
Nice cross court.
That's about 3 in a row that she's put down, Coach.
Yep. She's just going ahead and slicing cross court, and there's nobody over there right now to pass the ball.
Well, the Bobcats are down 12-7. Now it's 13-11. Munoz is going to set a middle hit. That they never really hit it from the middle too much. That was Weston. And Newton out of bounds. And the Bobcats getting the ball to Taryn Johnston, and they can't stop her.
And Jenna put up a nice high ball, and Taryn just simply went over the top of the other two girls and put the ball down. So they're 1 point away from being back tied up, and that was your goal when you start this thing. So when we started the service rotation, get the thing tied up and then move forward.
Newton got themselves a big lead when Brain was serving, and Elliott was hitting the ball down for the Bobcats. And now all of a sudden things have reversed a little bit as Taryn Johnston has put 4 straight down for the Bobcats. And it is 13-12. Newton calls a quick timeout. The Bobcats won game number 1, 25-18.
It's a game of momentum. So right now the momentum is in the Bobcats' favor. So if they can just ride this thing as long as they can, get as many points from this combination of service and front line, will be great, because we've got a nice strong front line from a blocking and hitting standpoint. So this would be a great opportunity to roll.
The front line is Johnston, Butler, and Bermudez, by the way, as Coach Gaskell mentioned. And a good block.
There.
That was the one thing I thought was missing when Newton was going on their run. We weren't really blocking the ball very well. And now we're all tied up at 13 apiece. Newton did have a 5-point lead, but that has all but evaporated. And there's that middle attack again, and that just doesn't work for Newton. They tried to go to that to Brain, but I think that time it was Butler.
And they tried another back row attack from the 10-foot line, and when it's that close, the Bobcats have done a pretty good job.
2 good blocks in a row by the Bobcats. That's good to see. And good serving by Bridget. And Butler is going to set up Bermudez, and Newton gets called for a carry or 4 hits or whatever it was. It's a violation, and the Bobcats have a 2-point lead.
The setter tried to do a dump into the middle that time, and it was really covered up well. I believe Claire was there.
Val puts a little extra mustard on that one. Bridget does, excuse me. Val's in the audience watching, you know. And knocked over by number 1, Muñez, and that should be out of bounds.
Yep. There's a cutback that she attempted that didn't work.
15-14, good game.
Now you've got the switch. You've got
yeah, this is our good hitter, one of their good hitters, Elliott, and that means Brains in the
front row hitting
right
outside. Yep.
Pushed over by Muñez. Hankin got it in the back row. Bermuda sends it over. And there's Brain. We did a good job on that side hit that time.
They're just hitting right down the line, so.
Bobcats playing better defense on their line hits.
When you got Jenna up there, I'd really like to see her just line up and just block her. I remember that's what we did last year, and we were pretty successful at it.
16-14.
A good block by Tasha.
Yep, that time that didn't work out too well for Newton. Weston tried to hit it, and our blocking's a lot better at the net.
Overpass, should be able to use something here.
And Bermudez is going to set up Butler. Back row, out of bounds, last touch by Newton. And the Bobcats, who were down 12-7, now have a lead of 18-14. Bobcats doing a better job controlling the sideline hits by Newton. And great play by Butler. She blocked it, then she got it back.
Yeah, she popped the ball up well. Nice block.
And another good block by Bermudez and Butler. I think, Coach, that's been the big thing that's turned this around, is our blocking at the net, Coach.
That's right. That's how they got their momentum. They had a few good hits. They started to feel a little more confident, and now after you get a few good blocks, it's just the opposite. They lose some of that confidence, and they try to adjust.
19-14, the Bobcats trying to win this match, wrap up second place in the conference, have a few days off, maybe go down to Southeast Polk High School on Monday night to watch Des Moines East and Southeast Polk play, because the Bobcats get that winner back here next Wednesday night at 7 o'clock in the regional semifinal. In the bottom bracket is Hoover, Newton, and fifth-rated Urbandale. And I would imagine Urbandale, who's been playing some very good ball lately, looking forward to another match against Marshalltown. And this time it'd be on a neutral court in a regional final, if both teams get there. Hinman has been very, very solid tonight, serving the ball for the Bobcats, and she will go back to serve.
Yeah, from the paper, she had a really good weekend, so she's just kind of carrying that over tonight, which is great to see at this point in time of the year. It's close, pushed to the back line.
19-15. Katie Schroyer will serve for Newton. Newton actually had a 12-7 lead. Then the Bobcats did a better job blocking. It's a good serve.
It was a good pass.
Hinman, Bermudez, yes.
Good things happen when it all starts with a pass. Tasha will go back to serve now. She comes in with a .920 service percentage.
Bobcats are up by 5 points, 20-15. Hinman.
That was a good try. They were trying to run something quick there. Just didn't quite click.
Hinman to Ruff, and Loney couldn't get the ball.
Okay, after they get through this rotation, or this service right here, the setter's going to move over to the right side, and then number 2 that likes to run the slide is in the middle, so Bobcats have got to be ready for that slide on a good pass.
There's Loney, and they blocked it inbounds. A couple of their shorter players hit it. I think that was Munoz and Carmen. So Newton gets a point off a block, and it's 20-17. Bobcats reclaim the lead after they were down. That's Loney, and 4 hits called on the Bobcats. Bobcats had the momentum, and now Newton's got it back a little bit.
Yeah, Laura was just trying to take something off the ball and hit a really sharp cross court, which is a good play. It just didn't quite crawl over the net.
Well, this has been a pretty good rotation for Newton. They've got 2 points off of the deal, and it's 20-18. That's a free ball, and Butler into the net, and the Bobcats can't dig it out.
If I'm not mistaken, I think this may be pretty close to the same rotation that they ran with last time. Maybe one more off, but
Brain's playing front row, and Elliott's playing the middle. And now we give up a point.
And we got a tie game.
You can see the Bobcats a little frustrated out there when Newton now has come back at him to tie it up.
Well, that would have been that particular ball. Somebody should have been helping Brandon Hinman out on that one. That was pretty close to going out of bounds, but I didn't hear anything, anybody shouting that the ball was deep or in. And sometimes that slight hesitation when you're right there in the back row is just enough to throw you off.
Do you expect your girls to shout when things like that happen?
They should be communicating. When that ball's that close, you have to be talking to them, especially when it's in between the 2 girls, as that ball was. Somebody's back there that should be able to call it, or it should come from the bench if it is out. They should be communicating and let her know.
Well, Newton certainly is a scrappy team, and as I mentioned, they play pretty decent competition, and they're a contender. They aren't rated, but they're a contender, so they're pushing the Bobcats here. They do trail 1-0, and 20-20 is our score here all of a sudden. Newton did have a 5-point lead. Marshalltown came back to get a 5-point lead. Now we're all knotted at 20. And there is a lobbing serve. Hankins got it. Bridget's got it. And Butler puts it down. Jody's having a good game tonight. Jenna, excuse me.
If anybody was going to receive the pass in this rotation that they had right there, you'd want it to be Claire, and they did serve it right to Claire, and from my standpoint, that was a mistake for Newton because Claire's a good passer, and she just put the ball right up there so the Bobcats could run an offense.
Lindsey Murphy with the serve, and there's Brain, and nice dig in the back row by Hinman, and there's Claire, and is that slide play, Coach?
That slide, but that's a carry right there. That's a good call.
That's the first time we've defended that successfully.
Yep.
Now the Bobcats have a 22-20 lead in a pretty exciting game 2 on KDAO TV. And Lindsey Murphy.
There's a good serve by Lindsey.
To Elliott. There's Brain. And the Bobcats blocked it. Nice dig by number 4, Wellner. And that is going to be a violation. She hit it off her shoulder.
Yep.
Violation on Murphy, point Newton, 22-21 on KDAO TV. This is Brain. This has been a good rotation for him, Coach, and she serves. For some reason, they score points off it. And the Bobcats dug it out. At first, I thought that was going to be a free ball for Newton. And Elliott gets the ball. Hankins got it. Loney, yes, that's some good stuff by Loney.
Got Laura into the game with, again, it all started with the pass there. The ball was up so that you could run some offense.
23-21, Claire Hankin, who's third on the team in kills.
Now, if it's like last time, this is where the Bobcats did a lot better job of starting to control the game.
It was a good serve, too, by Claire. Johnston had it, and Johnston's going to hit it over. She's had a good second game, and there's Elliott, and a good block by the Bobcats.
Nice job there by Laura. Now you're 1 point away from finishing game 2, and a game that's been tight all the way. It's kind of nice to have that second one.
and they're going to set the ball over. There's Johnston, and the Bobcats get called for a net violation. So it's 24-21. I'm sorry, 24-22 now, folks.
Well, this is the rotation. All it takes is a side out, and you can win this game. So one good defensive pass, putting the ball up.
Loney, Johnston, thought she maybe found the opening there. And there's the slide that you say, Coach, and the Bobcats give up another point. So Bobcats have been stuck on 24 for a little while.
Yep.
24-23 here on KDAO TV. The Bobcat fans are a little quiet there. 24-23.
There, got up to Claire. Should be able to run with this one. There you go.
And there's Johnston, and the Bobcats wrap up game 2, but it was tough. 25-23. It's like blocking and service reception were the two keys in that game, Coach.
Yeah, it was definitely a different mode swing from one side to the other. Whoever was going to carry the momentum. There was pretty good runs of points there. And fortunately, the Bobcats had a good one right up the middle that carried them through.
Well, that was certainly a good second game. The Bobcats win 25-23. The Bobcats are up 2-0. And our third game between Marshalltown and Newton coming up on KDAO TV. You're watching Marshalltown High School Girls Volleyball on KDAO TV 45. I'm Chuck Carpenter with Bob Gaskill. As we close down the regular season, the Bobcats with a tough home match against Newton. Of course, this is seniors night, and the Bobcats do lead 25-18, 25-23. Newton's made it a little tough on them, but the Bobcats, to their credit, have not folded, and they had to come from behind a couple of times in order to get game number 2.
But when you're the visiting team, this is really the point in time to find out what you're made of, because it's really easy to go ahead and collapse. You're down 2. Sometimes you just want to get this thing over with, go home. And so this will be a true test for Newton to find out how mentally and physically tough they are in this type of situation.
Is it also a test for the Bobcats, too? Because if you're the Bobcats, as we see Celia Garcia out there, number 16, coach, is it also a test for the Bobcats? Of course, this is senior night. Is it also a test for the Bobcats because you'd kind of like to break out ahead and try to take a little air away from Newton?
That's right.
And not let them play with you. And the first thing that happens is that we hit it into the net.
Well, that's not exactly how I'm sure Coach Wessendorf decided that she wanted to start the game. But now you've got to deal with it, get the ball back right away, and go. Good pass by Tasha.
Bridget Johnston. And Newton scrambles to try to get to the ball, and it's knocked over by Munoz. That was some pretty good stuff there. And Newton blocks it. Butler's got it, and Butler's going to hit it into the net. So a couple of mistakes by the Bobcats, and we're off to a little slow start here of 2-0.
Yeah, the first middle hit wasn't real high, so it was tough to really get over the net. And the last one, Jenna likes the ball usually a little bit closer to the net, so she can just come down on it because she wasn't back for an approach.
Okay, well, Schroyer hits it into the net, so now the Bobcats have a point, and Garcia on seniors night plays a little bit, and she gets replaced by Claire Hankin and Brianna Hinman, who's had an excellent night serving the ball and has played a respectable back row, is going to serve for the Bobcats, who trail 2-1. Elliott got to that, and now Elliott hits it over. And there's Hankin. It's a heck of a hit, but Newton made a good effort, but that was a heck of a hit by Claire.
That's right. Elliott Bobcats have had a pretty good success of serving the ball at Elliott. She hits the ball well, but her passing skills could be just a little bit better.
She doesn't hit it very well from the middle.
No, not from the back row.
But Brain hits the ball very well, and that time she didn't kill it. She just found the opening, and Newton hanging around. They lead 3-2.
Nice little roll shot from Brain. Dump the ball in.
Ashley Wellner comes in. Bobcats are up 2-0 here. Bobcats would certainly like to wrap this thing up in 3 games. Newton, of course, wants to stick around and make this close.
Now, Wellner is another senior, so I don't remember her playing a lot, so that she may be getting in for senior night as well, her last attempt.
Okay, this time Claire hit it out of bounds.
She's cranking, trying to go down the line. She just brought it around a little bit too much.
Newton leads by a score of 4-2, and they're down 2-0. Into the back row it goes. That's Claire Hankin. And Claire found the opening. Not sure what happened there, but it's like everybody from Newton went over to guard Claire, and she just had a size of the court that was wide open for her.
That's the shot that in the second game Laura tried to hit. It seems to be open over there. They're backing way off the net, and Claire did a nice job of hitting it. Now that ball could have been Carrie, just kind of rolled up her arms.
Right. And Newton digs it out, and now they hit into the net, but they dig it out again.
Well,
and thought that was 4 hits, but
I'm not sure Laura touched that one.
But my math was never too good. But that time, Loney comes from the middle, and while she doesn't start, Laura certainly does come in on the rotation, does a fine job. She's second on the team in kills.
She's awful strong at the front row.
4 apiece. And Bermudez puts it over the net, almost a free ball, and Newton digs it out, and it goes out of bounds. Loney was stalking the net, waiting for a free ball.
Didn't quite break the plane of the net, so she was good and patient, didn't try to go over there and reach it.
5-4 on KDAO TV.
That was a tough serve. I wasn't sure that was going to get over the net.
That was a great serve by Bermudez. And there's Loney again from the middle. Yes. Coach, some teams can only hit from the side. The Bobcats apparently can hit from the side and from the middle. That makes them tough.
That's what the Bobcats are doing right now, and that's one position that the Newton isn't really using much of, and that's the middle. So with the strength for the Bobcats, that's one of the reasons why we're up 2 games right now.
And maybe one of the reasons why the Bobcats are rated 10th in the state. The only teams they've lost to have been teams rated ahead of them. And in order for them to get to state, if it happens, that was Brain. The Bobcats are going to have to beat a team rated ahead of them for the first time this year, and that's Urbandale, if they happen to match up with them at Southeast Polk. I might be wrong, but I'm just not sure the Bobcats have beat any teams rated ahead of them this year. 6-5 is the score. Newton is down by 1, and there's Loney. She's had a terrific game. Newton gets to it, and there's Elliott, and she hits it into the net.
She was really cranking on that one. She was going cross court and hitting hard.
Lindsay Murphy comes in. Allison Busby comes in. Allison will play front row with Loney and Claire Hankin, while Lindsay Murphy will serve.
There's the slide.
Bobcats pick it up that time, and Hankin,
nice little dump shot.
Found the opening, hits it out of bounds.
It's one thing Claire does very well. She sees the court, she knows what's open, and she goes ahead and hits. She does a great job of hitting the holes.
8-5 on KDAO. Murphy and Newton just a little unsure what to do on that. I'm not even sure if she touched it. It might just zoomed right over her head.
That was the in-between spot. Not sure what she should do. If she should bump past it, forearm, fingers, or what. But the indecisiveness helped us there.
9-5, and now we hit it out of bounds. So Lindsay comes in, gets a few good serves, and the Bobcats are up by 3 points here, 9-6. They've had a tussle with Newton.
This will be a tough rotation. Let's get a good pass here right away.
This is Munoz, excuse me. Loney in the back row. Murphy, Claire Hankin hits it into the back row, and they're going to set up Elliott. That's not quite a good set, and instead it goes over to the Bobcat side, pushed over by Laura. Elliott. That time she cranked on it and hit it down.
Just to make sure that we have a good pass here, so we can run some offense.
9-7 is the score. Munoz serves the ball, and that will be Loney. And Newton, no. They gave it a good effort. Here comes Taryn Johnson. She's been pretty solid tonight, and she will replace Brianna Hinman. And that's a good front row the Bobcats have now, especially defensively. Well, offensively, it's pretty good too.
She tried a little push. Laura got up there and was just a little bit taller, so it was a good job.
Yeah, Loney and Busby and Johnson. That's a good. That's some good stuff there, offensively and defensively. Marshalltown leading by a score of 11-7. And Newton almost went over the net. However, Elliott comes from the side again.
That was a nice hit by Elliott. She was pushed clear outside, and she reached out and brought that ball in.
Plus, they had no block at the net either.
Right.
11-9. If the Bobcats win tonight, they will wrap up second place in the conference. Fort Dodge probably is going to be the conference champion this year, and I guess they're going to call Newton for a carry.
That was carry on the Cats.
I'm sorry. 11-9. Newton's been in this rotation for quite a while. They haven't had a side out for a long time.
That's time. Well, that could have easily have been a carry there on their setter.
Plus, it almost looked like she went over the net, too, but all's well that ends well because Loney bumped it over. And Laura will set out, and she'll be replaced by Angie Brown. 12-9 is the score. Bobcats leading 2-0. And there's a little jump set.
She has not had any success of dumping that ball there for the Bobcat, for Newton.
Elliott dinks it over. Bobcats get to it, and Johnston gets it blocked, but it goes out of bounds. That should be a point for the Bobcats.
Yep. Hit it off the blocker, and the blocker did not turn her hands inside to bring the ball inbounds. It just went off her hands and landed out of bounds.
As we mentioned, the Bobcats have two good setters out there. Bridget Ruff leads the team. Coming into tonight, she's had 352 assists, and Lindsay Murphy with 259 assists. So with two good, the Newton coach is upset again over there. Anyway, kind of a technical question, Coach. Because the Bobcats have two good setters out there, do you qualify this as a 6-2 offense? Isn't a 6-2 offense when you have two setters, or do two setters are in there all the time?
No, 6-2. The Bobcats are running a 6-2 offense. At all times, with what they're doing right now, they'll have 6 hitters, which means everybody in the front row is a potential hitter, and they have 2 setters. The setters are always coming from the back row. Now,
Coach, the reason why I bring that up is that almost kind of a throwback. And the reason why I say that, Coach, is because, again, and sometimes we refer to this team, but they're a very good team, the volleyball team in Grundy Center, who's rated #1 in the state, Darwin Sense told me he runs a 6-2, and he thinks he's one of the few teams that still runs a 6-2. Is that something teams are getting away from or not?
Well, you really have to adjust to the type of team or the type of players that you have. And I would say a lot of teams like to run a 5-1. The one thought is that if you have one person that the girls always see the same consistent sets from, the hitters are used to it and they don't have to adjust to the setters, because the balls always come off the hands differently from each setter. And that's why a lot of teams just like to run a 5-1. But you have to make an adjustment. We're playing in a competitive, tough league, and you don't get to be number 10 by having any weaknesses.
Well, and plus the fact too, Coach, as Newton just puts one down, and that was Elliott again. Plus the fact too, Coach, if you are also fortunate to have 2 setters, and one of them happens to be a great hitter, you know, that's just a good thing for you. And I think that's what Grundy Sander has up there, because Kristen Harris is one of the best hitters in the state. She's also an excellent server too. So I guess you have to, as you say, utilize all your talents out there.
Right.
Okay, 17-9 now. This might be the biggest lead the Bobcats have enjoyed all night long. It's been a tussle against Newton, and maybe they're taking a little starch away from Newton as we go along here. And
it's a little bit of the collapse that we talked about at the beginning of the game. No, just see how mentally tough the team is.
17-10. Now you're up 17-10. If you're the Bobcats, you really, really don't want to have this team come back. And as long as they're down, you might as well get them while they're down. Elliott's going to serve the ball, and there's a short set. Johnston, a free ball. Boy, that was some good stuff. Taryn just stayed right with it, and Newton was just a little overmatched there at the front of the net with Weston. She didn't have any help.
We're going to see some substitutions here.
In comes Ruff. In comes Butler. 3 substitutions in a row. I'm not used to seeing that in Cecilia Garcia.
Yeah, C will come in and play back row, and then 1 rotation there.
That's nice on seniors night. 18-10 is our score on KDAO TV. And I know that Coach Westendorf is probably saying, we have him down, now let's just not let him come back on us.
That was a nice pass.
So we'll see if the Bobcats have that killer instinct and that killer attitude, and that's going to be 4 hits, and kind of looks like maybe they do. Now it's 19-10. You always talk about it, Coach. You got to finish strong.
And I think that's exactly what the Newton coach wants them to do right now. Even though this game may be tough for them to come back and win, she wants them to show a little bit of character here and to finish this game strong and come back and get some points. And you never know what might happen, so she just wants them to get refocused here.
And I assume Coach Westendorf is telling the kids in a nice way not to let up.
That's right. You finish this game right now. You're up 19-10. Finish the game. Do not let this thing drag on. Don't take it into a fourth game.
As I mentioned, the Bobcats begin tournaments next Wednesday here at the Roundhouse at 7 o'clock against either Des Moines East or Southeast Polk, and we'll have the play-by-play. I'll be joined by somebody. I haven't figured that out yet, and we'll have it on the air next Thursday and next Friday at 7 o'clock. And then if Marshtown happens to win that, they could end up playing 5th-rated Urbandale for a trip to state, and wouldn't that be a fun match? A regional final at Southeast Polk High School at 7 o'clock on Monday, November the 1st, right before the elections. And again, that side attack with Brain is pretty successful for Newton.
Yeah, that's her strength, again, is just hitting right down the line.
Maybe they'll continue to feed her. I mean, as long as it's working, they've got nothing to lose. It's 19-11. Hard set. Johnston. Elliott got to it. And Brain was able to...
Again, that was a tough hit by Brain, hitting cross court.
And now... it's 19-12.
And you just want to side out here.
Newton has scored 2 unanswered points in a row. And that'll be Ruff, and that'll be Butler. Yes.
That may be the first time I've seen Jenna hit from the outside. What's considered strong side. She did a nice job there.
Elliott's a good hitter from the side, but sometimes she struggles a little bit playing defense. Here's Brianna Hinman. She's our best server, so maybe the Bobcats can make a little hay. Still up by a score of 20-12. Good serve, and way from the back row. That's kind of how...
that was a mental breakdown there.
That's kind of how Elliott started this game. Well, actually, she hit into the net 3 times in a row.
If I was Brianna, I think I'd just keep on serving right at number 9.
Yep. Elliott will be back next year. And as we mentioned, Bermudez will be back next year for the Bobcats. There's Brain, and she's pretty good.
That's a good cross-court hit.
When Newton called the timeout, it was 19-10. And the Bobcats now lead 22-12. Bobcats trying to close this thing out in strong fashion. That's Loney. And that's Celia. And that's Hankin. And somehow Newton got that thing over. And some of the Bobcat fans don't like that one at all. Oh, there's Brain.
Again, she went down line.
Good stuff by Brown in the back row. Angie with a wonderful save. And there's that slide. I guess I'll call it the slide that you call it. And that time it burned us.
Coach Wessendorf just wants them to settle down here, get one good pass up, get the ball back, and get back under control.
21-14.
There's your pass.
And Bermudez pushed it over very successfully.
That was tough. That ball didn't get very high, so tough to really handle.
And it's 22-14. The Bobcats 3 points away from finishing Newton off in a pretty tough game over a scrappy Newton team. And there's Brain again. This time the Bobcats put up a good block with Loney and Butler, and then it's pushed over by Brianne Hinman, and oh, there's Brain. Bermudez in the back row. Good volume by both teams. And there's Brain again.
Good up by Tasha.
Yeah, that was good on that side row.
Way to take something off the ball. That was great play. By her reaction, I'm not sure that's necessarily what she planned to do, but it was a great hit.
And hopefully that doesn't overshadow. We had some very good defense, Coach. We dug up a couple of those hits that were on the side.
Yeah, Tasha had some nice passes down the line.
23-14. There's Brain again. And that was a good save by Hinman. There's Hankin. Nobody hit it.
Brain will go back.
Well, this has been
Elliott will come up.
Yeah, this has been a pretty good rotation for them. They've usually been able to score some points, but that goes out of bounds.
That's a
and
great
now
way.
we have match point here, Coach, I do believe.
It's a nice way to bust up a good rotation.
Murphy comes in. Busby comes in. Match point to be served by the Bobcats right now. It's 24-15. And there's Elliott out of bounds, and 25-15. That's our score. And Elliott put a few down tonight, but I would imagine she's probably a little frustrated, the junior. She hit quite a few out of bounds. And, Coach, for the most part, the Bobcats did what they wanted to do, Coach. They came in here, and they took care of this team in 3 games. Newton did make it tough on them. And the other good thing, Coach, was that when the Bobcats had this team down 19-10, Newton called a timeout, and the Bobcats didn't let up, so that was good. They had that killer instinct, didn't they, Coach?
They showed good character. They won pretty convincingly, 25-15, and it's a nice way to end regular season, and now you get everything set up for your second season, and that's 2 games and take it on to state from here.
Okay, and as we mentioned, the Bobcats will next be in action next Wednesday night. They play either East or Southeast Polk next Wednesday night at 7 p.m. But this is the end of the regular season, and the Bobcats get second place in the conference behind Fort Dodge, and they defeat Newton 25-18, 25-23, and 25-15. I thank Coach Gaskell for being on the play-by-play, and we will return with a post-game featuring MHS girls volleyball coach Terry Westendorf coming up on KDAO TV.